Hey everybody, it is Friday, August 28th, 2020. Thank you so much for joining me. Just wanted to put out a video here. Got a lot of news to cover. Well, I hope each and every one of you is doing well. The chaos continues. It continues to escalate. We've got groups of people being whipped up into a frenzy, and the danger continues to expand. And the latest events and job losses and collapse gives the Fed the excuse that they really needed to implement these unlimited measures to quote-unquote rescue the economy. And we talked just last episode about how the Fed now is going to let inflation, the average inflation target, go above 2%, even though technically it's already been above 2% when you look at real inflation, what you and I and what the middle class Americans have to pay. All right, but this whole Ponzi scheme economy is on borrowed time, and we are approaching the end. We are getting very close to the ultimate economic collapse. Let's look at some other news today that does give us further evidence of what's really happening in the economy. We have about now 25% of all personal income for Americans comes from the government. Also, Americans are surging to dollar stores. We're going to talk about the surge in some of these dollar store sales. And consumer spending rebounds. Is that because of the government and the stimulus checks? Now, before we get into this, all the news today, I just want to say I really find it astonishing that before the shutdown, before the obvious economic situation took a deep dive, how many people actually still were convinced that this was the best economy ever. Now, I know the politicians, they have to go out there, they have to say that, because most of the people in the country really have no idea how things actually work. So when you see, the president go out there and he's saying false information that the economy's strong. Now, I really don't know if it's the chemicals in the food, if it's the television frequencies, if it's the airwave frequencies, or some other brainwashing mechanism. But it just seems like a lot of people are just in a trance and have no idea what's going on. There's actually people that believe that the wrestling, the fake wrestling, like the WWE, the WWF, and whatever it's called now, people believed that that was real. Some people. So people actually believe that you could get pile drived on your head 3 or 4 times and still get up and walk away and jump off the top rope after getting dropped straight down on your head. Right? People actually believe that. So it's no surprise that people were under the illusion that the economy was a great economy here in the U.S. Well, they've been told that. We were told it was the greatest economy ever. But even before 2016, before we started hearing that a lot, we know that a lot of Americans, over 40 million, 40 to 50 million, somewhere in there, were reliant on the government for food stamps. And these numbers coming out today just further prove the situation. So when you see things like, personal income is rising, a big part of that is 25% of this income is government backed. It's the monopoly men just propping up the system. And some people think that's not enough. They think it should be 100%, that no one should work, that everyone should just get a check straight from the government. Like that's going to solve the problem. If that would have solved the problem, we should have started doing that 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. And no one would have to work, right? It's pretty crazy when you think about how people look at this system here. Now, today's release of the personal income and spending data reveals that if all government stimulus were withdrawn, the U.S. would stumble right into a double-dip recession, probably a depression. And this shows how reliant people are on the U.S. government spending. Now, the personal current transfer payments, which are government-sourced income, such as unemployment, emergency benefits, welfare checks, and so on. In July, this number was $4.9 trillion annualized. And now since the shutdown, it's even more revealing. If you look to the far right here, you see this huge spike up. And government transfers now make up well over 30% of total income. Right, so it's 1 in 4 people, but it's even bigger as a total of income. Let's take a look at this chart right here. Corporations. U.S. corporate debt as a share of GDP. Well, we see over the decades this has been going up and up and up, and at the peak of each corporate debt binge, we'll call it, you see a dark line, you see a recession. And now take a look at this, but yet somehow people still think that we're going to get out of this without some major pain, without a major recession, And I think it's going to be a depression. I've been telling everyone to prepare canned food, survival gear if you have it, self-defense mechanisms, and so forth. Right? This is going to get even more dangerous. I mean, look what's happening already. Right? Just wait until the majority of the population doesn't have any food on the table, and the danger that we're seeing right now, the chaos, I wouldn't be surprised if it got 10 times, 20 times worse than we're seeing right now. A recent article right here, this is out of Investopedia.com. Dollar stores report strong second quarter earnings. So while many retailers are shutting down, the dollar stores, brick and mortar locations, are doing just fine and actually have exceeded what their expectations were on their earnings. And I'm also wondering how much of that extra earnings and these extra profits of these dollars and discount stores were because of government stimulus, enhanced unemployment, stimulus checks. And this has been pointed to as something to be optimistic about right here. Consumer spending rises in July, fueling hopes for sharp economic recovery. So if all it takes is for people to go shopping based on currency that's created out of nothing and sent out to people, if that's all it takes for a sharp economic recovery, same question, why didn't we just do this many decades ago? Why should anyone work if an economic recovery can happen based on government stimulus? You see what I'm getting at here? So if something sounds too easy or too illogical, it's probably not true. What they're doing is they're kicking the can down the road until there's no more road left. And unfortunately, most of the United States, and probably a similar story around the world, but mostly the United States especially, home of the brainwashed, home of the entranced individuals that think, some people think that wrestling's real. Well, I hope they don't meet the Undertaker, but we can only protect ourselves. We can't worry about the entire world or the entire country, because a lot of people out there are just not prepared. Even now, they're not prepared. You can still see people wasting money and having no idea that there's not going to be this miraculous recovery. And it's really dangerous, not just for those people, but for you and I, because when society breaks down, when people are hungry, when people are desperate, our lives are also in danger, and what you have and everything you worked for could be in danger also. What can we do? Well, we can try to wake as many people up as possible. I want to thank all of you for being here, for sharing my videos, for getting the information out there. Just talk to your friends, people around you, your family, people you meet, and just ask them a few simple questions. You know, what do you think about these trillions of dollars of rescue packages? Meantime, we still have people starving, homeless people, and all of this money can be loaned out. Money that's not backed by anything can be loaned out to corporations. We can do corporate bailouts, bail out entire industries, but yet we have millions of people facing foreclosure and eviction. So when you start asking people just these simple questions, sometimes it gets people thinking, and then they do research and they find out more. Then they see the true wicked origins of this financial system, of our monetary system, and how it may have made life seem pretty nice and may have made the economy seem very well for a while, but when the music stops playing, then it gets dangerous. Then y'all need to be on very high alert, not just high alert, but hyper alert. Ride the bull, prepare for the bear. The bear is here, but right now the bear is being kept in a cage and no one can really see it because of all the assistance and handouts and stimulus. But when it's done, when they say, oh, there's a glitch, we can no longer send out checks and support all of this Ponzi scheme, then look out, because it's Mad Max. It's going to be every person for themselves. Protect yourself, protect your family, get ready, stay prepared. And those of you, I just want to spread a word of caution. Those of you expecting a superhero to come flying in November, maybe it's the current guy, maybe it's a new guy that you're hoping for, right? Don't bet on any person to come in and save you. There's no saving us. We're in big trouble as a country. Get ready, folks. It's coming. I'm afraid to see what lies ahead, but hopefully we'll be back here soon with another report. Thanks everybody for watching. Appreciate it. Bye for now.